The abandonment. The wind howled across the barren prairie as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the modest cabin nestled near the edge of civilization. Amelia, her belly swollen with life and her hands trembling from exhaustion, stood at the door, watching the dust trail of the departing wagon fade into the distance. He had left, not just for supplies, not for a few days. Her lover, Jacob, a man she had trusted with her heart, had whispered promises of forever under the stars. But when the burdens of responsibility grew heavier, when her labor drew near, he vanished without a trace, without a goodbye. Amelia had tried to deny the truth. Perhaps he had gone to seek help. Perhaps the rain had delayed him. But deep down, she knew he had chosen to leave her. 9 months pregnant, miles from the nearest settlement, and winter fast approaching, she was alone. The night crept in, bitter and unrelenting. Every creak of the wooden boards reminded her of her vulnerability. Her water was low, food nearly gone. Her belly tightened with sharp cramps. It was starting. She lit the lantern and sat by the fireplace, her fingers clutching a worn blanket. She whispered lullabies to the unborn child in her womb, desperate to soothe both of their fears. Outside, wolves howled in the distance. Inside, the silence screamed. The doctor's arrival. Miles away, Dr. Elias Whitaker closed his medical satchel and climbed onto his horse. He had received a vague message. A settler's woman left alone, heavily pregnant, in a cabin far out in the frontier. It wasn't uncommon. The frontier was unforgiving, and not all men were as noble as they claimed to be. Elias had been trained in the East, where hospitals buzzed with white coats and polished tools. But he had chosen this life. Out here, every patient was a battle against nature itself. The journey was harsh. Snow began to fall, blanketing the prairie in a cold, quiet hush. The trail grew less visible with every mile, but Elias pressed on. By the time he reached the cabin, night had fully claimed the land. The door hung slightly open. He dismounted, heart pounding. Inside, he found her, Amelia, half conscious by the fire, sweat beading her forehead, her breathing ragged. "I'm Dr. Whitaker," he said gently, kneeling beside her. "You're going to be all right." Amelia blinked up at him, her lips cracking as she whispered, "He left me." "I know," Elias replied, brushing damp hair from her face. "But I won't." He unpacked his tools quickly, lighting more lamps. The cabin transformed into a makeshift delivery room. The storm outside raged, but within those wooden walls, a different storm was about to unfold. The battle for life. Labor was long. Hours melted into each other as Amelia fought wave after wave of pain. Elias stayed by her side, wiping her brow, monitoring the baby's heartbeat, encouraging her with quiet strength. "Breathe," he said. "You're doing well." Amelia screamed, tears pouring down her face. The betrayal, the fear, the isolation, it all surfaced with every contraction. But beneath the pain was something stronger. She wanted this child. She needed this child to survive. For hope, for love, for everything Jacob had taken from her. The storm outside intensified. Snow slammed against the windows. Wind rattled the shutters. But the fire inside burned brighter. At last, with one final push and a cry that pierced the storm, the cabin was filled with the sound of a newborn's first breath. Elias wrapped the baby in a cloth and placed her in Amelia's arms. "A girl," he said with a smile, "healthy and strong." Amelia looked at the tiny face nestled against her chest, and despite the pain, she smiled. "Thank you, Doctor." Elias nodded. "You did all the work, Amelia. You saved her." "No," she whispered. "We did." A new dawn. The storm passed by morning, leaving a blanket of white peace over the land. Amelia lay in bed, cradling her daughter, while Elias prepared a warm broth from the supplies he had brought. She was still weak, but stronger than before. In her daughter's eyes, she saw purpose. She would raise her here, far from betrayal, close to resilience. And perhaps not entirely alone. Elias stayed for several days, helping Amelia regain her strength. He repaired the cabin, stocked it with supplies, even fashioned a cradle from spare wood. One evening, as the sun dipped low again, Elias sat beside the fire, eyes distant. "I wasn't supposed to come here," he said softly, "but something told me I had to." Amelia looked at him, her eyes no longer filled with sorrow, but with quiet strength. "You saved 2 lives, Doctor." He smiled. "And perhaps, in a way, you saved mine too." When Elias finally left, he did so with a promise. He would return. And he did, again and again. For visits, for supplies, for stories by the fire. And over time, for love. The frontier had tried to break her, but it had only forged her anew. She was a mother now, a survivor, and above all, she was no longer alone.